Hey everybody, this is Jeremy from Humble Organics, and today I'm going to show you how to build a trellis for your garden. This is one of our best tips for maximizing space in a small garden. So as you can see here, I have this small 4x4 raised bed, and I want to grow some cucumbers in this bed. Cucumber's a vine, and so it's going to want to crawl along the ground, and these things can get really big. So a single cucumber vine could probably occupy almost all the space in this bed. So instead of letting it sprawl on the ground and taking up a lot of space, what we're going to do is grow it up a trellis. And so then it's just going to take up this very little bit of space along the edge of the bed. And that allows us, first of all, to grow a bunch of different cucumbers in the bed. But also, as you can see, we've got onions planted as well. So what I'm going to show you how to do is build a trellis that actually attaches to your bed. And then all you need to do is just train the cucumber up that trellis. And you can use this technique for other crops as well. So this works really well for beans. So we use pole beans instead of bush beans, and we just train them up a trellis. They take up very little space. You can do the same thing for squash, even melons, if you provide a little bit of extra support. So let's get to it. All right, this is a really easy project. And first thing I want to do is just take you through the materials you're going to need. So for the frame of the trellis, I use cedar 2x4s that should be easy to find locally. I use cedar because it's really rot resistant, and so I could expect this to last probably 15 to 20 years. So I cut mine. You want to cut it depending on how tall you want your trellis to be. Mine's a little over 6 feet. And then the joints here at the top, so I've kind of laid everything out so you can see what the frame's going to look like. There's lots of variations that you could do on this. The joint I'm doing here, I actually made 45-degree miter cuts with a compound miter saw. And so I'm going to just fit these together like you see here. If you don't have a miter saw, you don't have to do that. And so we'll go take a look at our bean trellis here, and I'll show you a different type of joint that you can use that doesn't require a miter saw. So either way is fine. There's lots of different ways you could do this, but I just want to give you kind of the basic idea. So you also want to pick up some of these braces for the corners. You can just put them in like that, and that'll just give you a little bit more reinforcement and strength on those corners. I also picked up some smaller brackets. These I will use when we attach the bottom of the legs to the raised bed itself. We'll put these brackets there to give it a little bit of extra support. You're also going to need some hog paneling, sometimes called poultry panel. And you can buy this in large rolls. I mean, you can buy 25 feet, 50 feet, 75 feet, and it varies in terms of the length as well. So mine are 5 feet long, and I bought a big roll of that. So that'll be good for a 6-foot trellis. And so you just cut these to whatever size you need with a pair of bolt cutters. It's really easy to do. All right, so let's get started putting this frame together. So the first thing I do is, as you see, is I just lay it out how I want it. And then I'm just going to start driving some screws into these corners. And I'm going to go in at a little bit of an angle. Like so. I'm going to put 2 screws in each one. Okay, so I'll move over, do the next screw here, and then I'm going to do the other side as well. So this is the bean trellis I was telling you about. So I just want to show you just quickly, in case you don't have a miter saw. Let me zoom in here on this joint, so you can see I've just laid those flat against each other and reinforced it with one of those metal brackets. So that'll work just fine as well. So whichever way you want to do it. All right, now that we're finished drilling, the next step is to put the hog panel onto the frame. And so to do that, you're going to use these poultry net staples. So these little things you just put around the wire and you just hammer them in. So I do the corners first. Just make sure it's nice and straight. And the hard part is getting it flat. So try to stretch it. And go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and hammer all 4 corners and then I'll get back to you. All right, so we got everything assembled here. So all we need to do now is attach the trellis to the bed. Okay, so you just want to make sure you get it nice and level. So I'm going to be looking at that. And then I'm just going to drill each leg into the bed. So I have these 4x4 corner supports. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to go through the leg and into those supports with a few probably 4-inch screws for that. And then just to add a little bit of extra support, those brackets that I showed you earlier will go around each side of the leg just to keep it nice and snug. Okay, so we've got our trellis attached now, and all we need to do is wait for these cucumbers to get a little bit bigger, and they'll start producing these little tendrils, and you can just lay those tendrils on this wire and they'll climb right up. And that's really all there is to it. So I hope you find this project pretty easy and helpful for your garden.